I've got a New Year's resolution for you. If you've always wanted to write a book, now's the time to commit. The new year is fresh. You can start from the beginning. Actually, my very first book that I published, I tried many, many times before to sit down and write, and I could never finish anything. And actually, I decided that I was going to make it a New Year's resolution to actually sit down and finish an actual novel. And I did. It was a New Year's resolution. So here's your chance to make your dream come true. So I've outlined how you can get from zero to at least like an 80,000 word novel in 52 weeks or a year. You can visit my website and you can see how it's all planned out. If you want to make a spreadsheet and track your progress, that's usually what I do. So it kind of boils down to your first week. Take that first week to brainstorm the basic idea. And you can actually follow my Plot a Course to Novel Success to go through these steps one by one to get you some ideas, some workbook options to kind of jot some things down to kind of get your head on straight, I guess. So week 1 is a brainstorm. The idea, the concept, your audience, think about all of those things. Week 2, start researching. So if you're doing any kind of if it's a fantasy world, maybe you need to do some world building. If it's a historical fantasy, maybe you need to do some historical research. And then week 3, get into settings. Pick out a few of your main settings, kind of come up with basic descriptions, understanding them. If you need to collect pictures, if you need to do site visits, get all of that kind of solid in your brain. Week 4, characters. Do your main characters, your protagonist, your antagonist, any of your important tertiary characters, the best friend, the love interest, whatever that might be. And then you're going to spend week 5 and 6 plotting. So you're going to kind of plot out those character arcs. You're going to plot out your conflicts. You're going to plot out your inciting incident, all the way up to your ascending action, your tri-fail cycles, and your climax. So plot that out. There'll be spaces in between, and we can fill those out in the next phase, which is week 7 and 8, which is your outlining. So do a chapter by chapter outline. It doesn't have to be extremely detailed. Bullet points of things that you want to happen in the chapter, who's in the chapter, maybe what point of view the chapter is from, the setting for the chapter. So take 2 weeks to get a good solid outline. You might not get from the beginning to end outline, but as you start writing, you can kind of add to your outline. And remember, the outline is not written in stone. The outline is there as a guide to prevent you from having writer's block. So it's not, you can deviate from it. It can change as you get into writing. You may discover, some problems with the outline that you have to detour or change, and that's okay. Now then, from week 9 until, let me see, week 40 is writing the rough draft. 2,500 words a week. Not a day. So you might not sit down and work every day, but carve out some time to at least put 2,500 words on a page per week. Now with your rough draft, just put the words on the page. Don't go back and edit anything. Don't go back and change anything. Just keep plugging forward. If you have a typo, keep going. Just plug through it. You can always come back and fix it later. Get from the beginning to the end. That is the number one goal. If you keep going back and changing things, you're not moving forward. You have to move forward. Keep going. So get from point A to point B by week 40. Now that's going to be the long slug right there. Week 41 and 42 are your developmental editing. Developmental editing read through. So you want to read through from point A, from the beginning, point A, to the end, point B, and you are looking for any glaring plot holes, things that are missing, pacing issues where maybe the book is slow, maybe there's a place where things don't make sense, and you don't necessarily have to fix them. If you can fix them while you're reading it, that's great. If not, you might make notations to go back in the editing process and fix that at a later date. Maybe you don't know what to do with it at that time. I always just maybe just, make a comment there. So the next time that I go through it, that I can address it. Maybe I'm not feeling it that day and I can come back to it later, and that works out well. Now, on week 43, you're going to start your editing process. And usually, what I do is I choose to edit 2 or 3 chapters, per week. That depends on the length of your book and the length of your chapters. Typically, let's see, how many weeks do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have about 9 weeks of editing, with a 10th week as a finish up, as a spillover for the last week of the year. So you could potentially take the numbers of chapters that you've written divided by 9 or 10, and that would determine, about how many chapters that you need to edit per week to finish by the end of the year. So then you're going to do your edits of those chapters. I use ProWritingAid. I kind of copy and paste each chapter into ProWritingAid, edit that chapter, paste it back into the manuscript, copy and paste the next one, edit that chapter, paste it back in the manuscript. You can use plugins for ProWritingAid. I find it's easier if you can kind of, I guess, dice it up into chapters and do it that way. It doesn't seem quite as daunting if you do it piece by piece. So once you finish at the end of week 52, you have a pretty well polished manuscript. What you choose to do from there is, your option. I would recommend either hiring an editor or a beta reader, or, if you want to start working on queries to literary agents, you can do that too. You can start working on formatting. But you actually have a working manuscript by the end of the year that you can choose what you want to do with it. So I look forward to hearing from everybody about how they're doing on their challenge, and good luck.